Pandora's Box. How are you? Thank you for joining me. Happy Friday to everybody in the chat and viewing audience. Please be safe this weekend. A lot of football games taking place, so please be careful traveling to and fro. Get a designated driver if need be. I was up early this morning doing a live pertaining to Eliza Fletcher. As most of you know who follow the content pertaining to her murder, the autopsy has come back and she was shot in the head and had blunt force trauma to the face and head by Cleotha Abston Henderson. So feel free to go into the library to check out my video. It is a bit winded because I bring you variations of the rapists and the types of rapists there are and their motivation behind the crimes. Thank you so much for joining me. This commentary is pertaining to Debbie Collier, who went missing, Georgia, and was found in a ravine an hour and a half away from her home. So the Habersham Police Department has given an update today pertaining to her murder, and they answer questions from reporters pertaining to evidence, data, information. And they did the best they could as far as giving us information. So I'm going to play that audio, and then I will give you my commentary thereafter. Thank you for joining me. This is Everyday Shenanigans. If you'd like to donate to this great network, $DeGanji, 129 Cash App. All stickers and chats are welcome during this live. Thank you so much.
Good morning. On behalf of Sheriff Joey Terrell, I want to welcome you. To begin with, I'd like to give you a brief synopsis of where we are to date on the investigation. The results of the autopsy are still pending. The results regarding the analysis of the items we've submitted to the crime lab are still pending. We are now just beginning to get responses to the search warrants and the subpoenas in the case to date. We can tell you that we have received additional footage from a security camera from a business near the Family Dollar store. That additional footage shows us that Deborah Collier walked out of the Family Dollar store at 3:09, got into her van, and remained in her van in the parking lot for 10 minutes before leaving the parking lot and heading south on Georgia 15, Highway 441, US 23. This tells us that the time frame is actually narrowed a little further for this case to begin at 3:19 p.m. on Saturday, September 10th, and ending at 12:44 Sunday, September 11th, the time of the discovery. Please understand that this case is very complex in nature and has a lot of questions and unknowns that aren't found in a typical death investigation. It is going to take significantly more time than the 19 days that have passed since the discovery to solve this crime. We also want you to know that we are working diligently to solve this case. We are trying to obtain as much information as possible so that we can put together facts and evidence to support a motive and also to identify a person or persons of interest. At this time, I'd like to call up lead investigator George Kaysen to assist with answering the questions that you may have. George.
First of all, I want to thank everyone for being here, being part of this. Hopefully we'll be able to answer some questions and give y'all some insight of where we're at and kind of what we're dealing with. First off, I want to start off by saying we have received a lot of questions that y'all have sent in. Some of these questions, the information that is pertaining to those questions is very sensitive information. We will try to answer them to the best that we can, but there will be information that we need to retain just for the simple fact of it being very sensitive, and we don't want our potential persons of interest to be able to get a hold of this information. Just that way it does not jeopardize the furtherance of our investigation. As far as some of these questions that were asked, I'm going to kind of go through a list of them and try to give answers as best as possible to you. One of the first questions that was asked is, can you confirm the Venmo message from the daughter, from mom to daughter was sent to mom's phone? We're still waiting more information that we have requested to confirm or deny where the Venmo was sent from, but we can confirm that Amanda did receive the Venmo. She did receive money. That much we do know right now. Continuing on, our next question was, are you in possession of Collier's cell phone and where was it found? Yes, we are in possession of that cell phone. We do have it in evidence, and it was located at the crime scene. The next question that was asked was, what was Collier's cause of death? And as Colonel Kogod mentioned, we are still awaiting the full report from the medical examiner's office. Once that comes in, we will absolutely update everyone on those findings. What records and data have we analyzed? Due to that being sensitive information, much as the disclaimer that I gave when I first stepped up here, we don't want to reveal any information that could possibly be potential or potentially jeopardize our investigation where our suspects will get that information. There was a question about Deborah's phone records. We have served multiple search warrants on multiple different cell phone carriers. We are working with them to get all pertinent data from those devices and from those carriers. So hopefully we'll be able to develop more of a timeline, a better timeline, and hopefully be able to find out more information about what exactly happened. Inclusion of family members, a question was related to that, is that right now we have not ruled anyone out at this point. We have ever developing leads and are gradually having information that we have requested come in. So we're still in the process of trying to find persons or person of interest. And as that information starts to trickle in, it will actually help us develop more information for y'all to have. We're continuing to investigate Deb's activities from September 10th through the September 11th, which is also going back to the timeline. We are gradually just getting more information in. We want to know just as much as anyone else does, and we're working, as Colonel Kogod said, we're working diligently. We've lost a lot of sleep, as such should be. In this investigation, we've devoted a lot of time to this investigation. There was a question about what search warrants have been executed. As far as the search warrants that we have done, again, we cannot give that information out just for the simple fact that it may jeopardize and give the information out to possible potential persons of interest. And we don't want to basically show our hand before we have facts. And as Colonel Kogod said, a couple other questions that were kind of obtained as far as Deborah's timeline. We have obtained additional footage from the parking lot, as he described, where she is in her 2022 Chrysler Pacifica van in the parking lot of the Family Dollar, which is obviously joined by other businesses. We've obtained additional footage and found that she stayed in that parking lot an additional 10 minutes. From that 10 minutes at 3:19 p.m., she leaves the parking lot and begins to head southbound on Georgia 15, which is the main highway, the 4-lane highway that connects Raven County to Habersham. She starts traveling southbound towards Little Falls, which is just inside Habersham County. We are still in the process of trying to obtain videos from other locations and other businesses along that route, and we encourage any business along that route that might have cameras, please reach out to us. Look through your video cameras and reach out to us. That way we can have a meeting with you and see if we can kind of even narrow down our timeline even more. And as far as the timeline, the last time we know that she was alive was at 3:19. Because we see her in that vehicle leaving the parking lot, heading southbound on Georgia 15. was a question about our thoughts of this being a homicide. We have not changed our thoughts about this being a homicide. We're still treating this as a murder investigation, and we will not change that. We will diligently and continuously work day and night trying to solve this case and try to bring justice to Miss Collier and her family. A lot of the questions we got are kind of repeat, so if I do repeat some of these answers, I do apologize, but I'm trying to go through and trying to hit every question that was given to us. We're, again, going back to the cell phone providers and search warrants we've done. We're working with multiple different cell phone providers to obtain the necessary information. All we know right now, as far as the Venmo message, is that, yes, it was sent to Amanda. There was a question in there as far as, do we know where the money is now? No, we don't. For the simple fact that we are still obtaining information, when it was sent, where it was sent, what device it was sent from. We're still trying to obtain that information right now.
I have a question back, going back to what you were saying about the death and why you're confident that this is a homicide. Was there any signs of trauma to the body that clearly indicated that this was a homicide?
The only thing we know as right now is the burns of the body. We're still waiting for the absolute full report from the medical examiner's office, but nonetheless, because of the burns, we're still treating this like a murder. We're trying to investigate it as such, and we won't deter from that just because we're going to treat it like that investigation to get all thorough information.
And in the statement, it says, let's see, that this was, you're clear that this was a random act of violence. Generally speaking, if I say something is a random act of violence.
Let me stop right there. Where did that statement come from?
This was not a random act of violence.
Okay. My apologies. Okay. What, meaning that it was not a, could you be more specific? Because I don't want to put words in your mouth. What does that mean? Does that mean someone knew someone?
No, what that means at this point is there is no information. I'm sorry. There is no information or evidence to this point that shows that this was something random, that there was something that was out, that was not from somebody that she either knew or somebody who she had some association with. That's what we're seeing at this time. So based on that information, we do not believe that this is a random act of violence. We do not believe that this is the act of a serial killer. We believe that this act was deliberate and personal. Okay?
Yeah, I saw you raise your hand.
Yes, sir. Michael Ruiz from Fox News Digital. I'm just curious if Debbie's purse was recovered at the scene.
Yes, it was. We do have that in evidence, and it was recovered from the crime scene.
Is that another purse than the one that was said to be left at her home?
That we're not aware of. We're still working on that, but we do know for a fact the video that was released of her being in the Family Dollar, that purse was found at the crime scene and is in evidence.
And one other question there is there anyone in that area that she is acquainted with? Is there a reason she would go up there dressed in her Bulldogs jersey on game day and drive an hour?
We're still trying to work with that. Again, like I said, as far as some of the search warrants and some of the follow-ups that we're doing, we're trying to obtain that information to see if she has any connections. If anyone, and that's one thing too, I'm glad you asked that. If anyone does have any kind of contact, and we encourage the public as well, if anyone had contact with Deborah Collier during that time frame, as far as from September 9th all the way through September 11th, specifically around the time frame of 3/19 to Sunday when the body was found, if anyone had any contact or might have seen or talked to her, please, we encourage you to come forward and speak with us.
Investigator Payson, Joy Persona,
Yes,
Habersham. You mentioned that she headed south on Highway 115.
Georgia 15, sorry.
Georgia, after
Yes.
leaving the Family Dollar store. Did the school zone cameras in Tallulah Falls School pick up
Yes.
her departure?
Absolutely. And actually, I'm glad you asked that. We have something that we're going to make readily available for y'all when we're done with this press conference. We do have in our possession, this is an actual photograph from the Tallulah Falls school cameras. She was seen traveling northbound on Georgia 15, just north of our crime scene, which is just south of Victory Home Lane. This is a picture of her traveling northbound on Georgia 15, traveling through these cameras at 2:17 p.m. on Saturday. Once we're done with this, I will actually tape it up here on the wall, so that way anyone and everyone can come up here and get a better picture of it, because I understand it's hard to see from here. So once we're done, you can come up and get a better picture of it.
Did you see her coming back southbound?
We have not. We have been in coordination with Chief Elrod from the Tallulah Falls Police Department. She has spent many countless sleepless nights looking through cameras, and that being one of the most heavily trafficked roads in northeast Georgia, especially for travel towards the North Carolina mountains, there's probably in the upwards of 150 to 160,000 cars that come through there. So they are still looking through to see if we can find her coming back south.
I got a question about the
Yes,
van
ma'am.
while on the topic. So according to the original report was sent out, the van was seen by Tallulah Falls officers sitting there on the side of the road around 5 o'clock Saturday.
I believe so.
And of course, when you all got there, the van was there on Sunday.
Correct.
Is it y'all's impression that the van was there that entire time, from 5 o'clock till?
Well, obviously, from our timeline, we know it wasn't there the entire time.
It was not there?
So
From 5 p.m. Saturday.
now 5 p.m. Saturday.
To 11-ish, 12-ish when you guys got there Sunday, did it ever leave that location?
Now that we're not aware of.
Okay.
When you said the 5 o'clock thing, I didn't know if you were talking about Friday. But
No,
as
Saturday.
far as the timeline, the only times that we can establish as far as that van is there is that we're still getting trickling information. I think there was another question in here, if there was any tips from the community that have helped us out. Yes, because it has helped us narrow down timelines. We're still following up to see if we can actually get confirmation of this van being there at certain times. But as of right now, from what we know, that van was there at the crime scene on Sunday is what we can confirm. Now, as far as her time getting back to the crime scene, we cannot confirm that. We're still working on leads and trying to confirm that information.
During the time that you say she was sitting in the parking lot outside Family Dollar.
Yes, ma'am.
She left at 3:19. At 3:17 is when this Venmo message
Correct.
was sent. And earlier you mentioned you're still trying to determine what device that was sent from.
Right.
Does that mean that you all do not yet know if she in fact sent that message herself?
Well, as the investigation goes on, I mean, we're doing a lot of search warrants to try to obtain any information that we possibly can. And as we know, as far as with the digital information and all the digital electronic devices we have these days, you can access accounts from many different devices, which is why we're going through the extent of being able to determine what device that Venmo was sent from.
And her daughter received that payment at 3:17. She said in the Athens Clark County Police Department report, when she reported her mother missing, that it worried her. She tried to call her mom on her cell phone. But two things. One, she had said that her mother only took her debit card and car keys. She didn't mention a purse. She didn't mention a cell phone. Also, it took her 3 hours, according to the timeline in the missing person report, from 3:17 to 6:01 before she actually reported her mother missing. Have you all looked into why there was a delay?
Yes, we have looked in, and again, we're still waiting for more information to come back. Again, with the search warrants that we've done, we're trying to develop those timelines and get confirmations of where these people were at, or anyone that was close to Deborah at the time. We're just trying to develop and get that information and get factual information, so that way we can actually start putting a basis to this.
Investigator, on the original incident report, there's a check mark about drug use. Was there any reason?
Yeah, I'm gonna let Colonel Kogod.
I can answer that. So patrol deputies, when they respond to scenes like this and they don't know exactly what they have, they normally mark whatever may be applicable. In this case, because it was so questionable and there were so many unknowns when we got to the scene, they marked it as a possibility that it could be drug related. However, at this time, the investigation is not leading us in that direction.
Is that another example of why there may not be an obvious trauma, like someone shot, stabbed, or,
Could be, but again, it's so preliminary in the investigation that we really can't make that determination. We just do not believe, based on what we have at this time, that this is drug related.
The tip that Amanda Bearden was at Family Dollar, did that come from her? Did it come from somewhere else? And what is the significance of her not being at that location that Saturday?
I'll try to answer that as best as well. So the tip, as far as her being at the Family Dollar, came from an initial interview to where she was talking about her and her mother going to Family Dollar to buy cleaning supplies to help clean up her apartment when she got back to Georgia. As far as the Family Dollar visit, I don't think that actually came from her, right?
No, it come from a.
Yeah, come on up. This is Investigator Garrison. He's also one of my team leads.
So I pulled the video footage from the store and talked with everybody from the store. Based off of that, with Miss Collier, she was there for that time period from 2:54 till 3:10. Got in her car at 3:10 till 3:20. It was asked that if Amanda was in there earlier, and Amanda, based off of our knowledge at this time, there was some confusion there, and the associate that worked there actually saw the mother and not the daughter. I was able to provide photos to that store clerk to confirm that, based off of what we were told, and she said, no, I remember seeing the mother, not the daughter.
Can you speak to whether Amanda Bearden has any acquaintances or friends, family in the area?
Like Investigator Kaysen said, we can't confirm that right now. I'm sure once we start getting some of these subpoenas and search warrants back on these phone records, we'll be able to give an answer on that at that time.
When was the last time Amanda told you all she saw her mom? And can you confirm a report that Debbie's husband, Steve, was working during the time of Debbie's disappearance?
All right, so what we can confirm as far as that question right there is that we know that Amanda talked on the phone with her mother on Saturday afternoon. I'll have to look back at my notes from the actual report itself to be able to give you some kind of actual time for it. But the last time she spoke to her mom was on the phone. As far as Steve working, we have pulled video from Synovus Bank where he stated that he was working that day because of being a UGA game. He works for a private company called the Optimist Club that private contracts Synovus Bank's parking lot to park vehicles for the game day. They use that parking lot to provide parking for people coming to the game. We have confirmed that he was there from, I'm making sure I get the times right, from 9 to 4:06, 9 a.m. to 4:06 p.m. on Saturday.
I'm Nora Almazon of WCHM. Do you have any reason to believe that she could have met someone there where her van was parked?
I'm going to go back to the answer as far as we're not ruling anything out. We're still trying to develop leads. We're still following up on tips and information. We're still awaiting information back from search warrants and subpoenas that we have sent off. Once that, and for phone records as well, once that information comes back and we have time to actually analyze and go through the details, then we'll have a better answer for that.
And Investigator Kaysen, I know you said that the state medical examiner's autopsy report has not yet been completed, but in the report that you all released last week, you stated that Ms. Collier's body was found down a ravine and she was grasping a small tree in her hand. What does that indicate?
I mean, that's a lot of different indications. I'll let kind of talk about that.
At this point, we're not sure what it indicates.
Could she have been alive?
Very possible that she could have been alive at the time she went down the ravine. But again, the autopsy will help us to narrow down time of death, help us to narrow down toxicology reports, help us to narrow down other things related to the body itself that we don't know at this time.
So would that indicate, if she were alive, that she survived being burned?
Very possible. Again, very preliminary in nature.
Yes. As far as the crime scene itself, is that private property? Is it public right of way? Is it U.S. Forest Service, National Forest land, or?
I believe it's U.S. National Forest land.
Yes.
Really quickly, Kara Stoucher, Living Alive. In reference to the crime scene, it's mentioned that the purse that she had at the store was found there. Were any other items recovered, including the poncho she bought?
Oh, yes. So all the items that were purchased as far as from the Family Dollar that we can tell right now. Again, we're still going through the investigation, but we can confirm that the majority of those items were found on the crime scene.
You mentioned a minute ago that Amanda had just moved back to Georgia. Where was she and when did she move back?
So this is what we can confirm. She lived in Maryland with her brother. She lived in, I think, the same apartment complex, correct? With her brother up in Maryland. City, I can't tell you what the city is because I don't have my notes and stuff in front of me, but I do know it's Maryland. She moved down here on the 8th, which would have been Thursday, September 8th, when she moved down here to Georgia. So we know that she was down here at some point on Thursday. Yes, sir.
You're clear it's not a kidnapping, despite the fact of that note with the Venmo note. Is that something that has made things particularly murky? Because that note seems to give the impression something was going on.
I'll tell you straight up. Right here, as far as this investigation goes, it seems like once we get on track with something, like a curveball comes in out of nowhere. That's why we're staying diligent and trying to stay on top of things and following up with leads, because we want to make sure we get facts. It's specifically to give y'all. We want to make sure that we have all the information before we start pushing forward.
Did Amanda give any theory as to what was going on, why she would get that kind of message, especially now that we know that message was probably...
There's a brief pause in this audio. Why, I don't know. We're going to let it run. Somebody's going to ask about someone, and I don't know who this person is, if it's a law official or whom, but he will answer that the person is out of town, but I don't know who he's speaking of. And I tried finding another video that plays it all the way through. I think it's missing maybe about a minute. So we're just going to let it go all the way through. Thank you so much for joining me. Let's see. I wonder what happened here, why it paused. It's very strange. It's at 25, 29, 26. I'm going to try to scoot it up a bit.
What he said, as far as in a 19-day investigation, to kind of more elaborate on that. This investigation is a marathon. It's not a sprint to the finish. We are going to make sure we take our time so that way when an arrest is made or when persons of interest are actually identified.
Okay, Sheriff. Okay, thank you.
There will be ironclad information behind that and supporting our reasoning. We want to encourage anyone that has any information to please reach out. We are following up on any tip and any lead that we could possibly get. My opinion, and I try to leave my opinions out of this, there's no such thing as bad information as far as given to us to follow up with, because we're going to follow up and find out whether it's relevant or whether it's factual or whether it's pertinent to our investigation. So please, if anyone has any information, do not hesitate to reach out and speak with us. You want me to go ahead and just give them put our phone number out? My direct line is 706-839-0560. Investigator Garrison, who is my partner on this investigation, his phone number is 706-839-0559. Please contact us with any information. If anyone has had any kind of contact or has anything that might help us further our investigation.
That autopsy, when did you guys expect it to?
We're still waiting. We did have a meeting with them. They have prioritized things. So they initially gave us a 6-week time frame, but depending on how long it takes.
6 weeks, wow.
Once we get it back, we will have another update. I promise you that.
One last question. Chief Deputy Koga, I had asked you this previously, but why was the GBI not requested to lead this investigation?
Because the Habersham County Sheriff's Office is a full-service sheriff's office. We're a full-service law enforcement agency. We have a complete division that is dedicated to investigating crimes that occur here in Habersham County. It is made up of professional men and women, law enforcement officers who have received special training in death investigations and crime scene. However, as any law enforcement agency will do, we still reach out to our counterparts, be it the GBI, FBI, and private entities that have resources that can help us with situations or items that may need a little more expertise, that may need a little more knowledge than we have. We reach out to them, and all of our partners have been tremendous help in giving us that guidance that we need when we call on them. So it's a total team effort. We are just the lead agency because we're responsible for investigating crimes here in Habersham County.
Oh, the video that you discovered, will that be available?
Yes, we will make the video available. We will have it to you. If you will leave us an email address to send, we will send it to you by close of business today. Okay, thank you very much.
All right, that concludes the press conference down in Georgia. Woo! I know many of you are wondering, what is Queen going to say? Queen doesn't really know because they threw us a wrench with the 19 minutes. That's going to be questionable at this point. Hold on one second. I'm going to pull up my own channel so I can see the questions that come in. Hold on one second, you guys. Okay, 36 watching now. Where do I start? Because this is some crazy information here. 37 in the room, 22 thumbs up. Thank you for joining. The 19-minute that has been mentioned is tricky because some of us believe perhaps that the daughter is involved. Let's go and say that, throw it out there, be done with it, because I've claimed it already. So 3:17 p.m., the daughter receives the Venmo. They have told us in this commentary that it's not verified which device sent the money. So therefore, here is where your bingo card is. Who sent her the money? The daughter. Stepfather, mother, while she was sitting in that parking lot for an extra 10 minutes, what was she doing? Let's go there. One, what was she doing up there in northeast Georgia? First and foremost, who was she going to see? Did she know anybody up there? Did somebody accost her on her way when she left from the dollar store? Sitting inside of the parking lot, verified to go in the store, verified sitting in the car by surveillance. This is where it gets dicey on who the culprit is. Who sent the money to the daughter? Did Debbie send that girl that money during that interval of being inside of that truck? Because law officials are still trying to get information from everybody's cell phone, devices, so on and so forth. So now that leaves that window open of anybody's getting access to a phone to send the money or whatever. So long as somebody knows the PIN code, because naturally you have to have a password. So that's going to be another issue. No matter where they access the money from, how would you have gotten the passcode? Because most people aren't going to tell that, especially due to the fact that the mother is sharing this account with her husband. Now, listen carefully to what I'm saying. How would the person get the passcode if they're not the mother sending themselves the money? So that would scratch out a personal, random person. The only way we could say it's somebody personal besides her daughter is somebody that's in cahoots with the daughter, somebody that knows the daughter. Stay woke. Who else was in the car? We see her going in the store. It's verified that she is the person in the store. Also going in the store, purchasing the items and exiting and sitting inside. Why did she send the money? Bingo card. If we're to believe that Debbie sent the daughter the money, why would you be sending her that money when, one, we've now got verification that she just moved here the day before, which was the 8th on a Thursday. So why do I need to send you money and you just made landfall? Come on with it now. Do we have verification yet? We don't. So who even sent the money? So that's question number one. Who put in the information to the daughter for the Venmo? Who was typing in that cryptic message? Was Debbie typing that in the 10 minutes she sat in the car? Who was in the car? I was going to ask, was the hubby there? But naturally, I don't have to go there because he was at work from 9 to 4:06. So there's no way he could have sat at a job, verified through surveillance coming and going at the job, drive up the highway an hour and a half, do something to the wife or whatever, and make it back in time to be sitting with the daughter to file a police report. If we're to believe 6:01 is the time called into the dispatch that the woman is missing by the daughter, 3-hour window. So husband's been verified. Police have her cell phone. It was at the crime scene. Was it on the ground, on her person, in her pocket, in her purse? What? You've let us know that you also have the purse. There's a discrepancy about another purse being at the house. I don't know if that's he said, she said, just gibberish coming out from the daughter's mouth via other entities, social media. I don't know. But I'm only going to go by what the police say because what they say to me is more important because they're the ones investigating this crime. Cell phone at the scene. They have her purse. Everything bought at the store basically was thrown out. Ask yourself why. And I'm going to try to tie all this in together so it can make some type of sense because right now I am a bit baffled and bewildered at this 10 minutes of her sitting in the car because that's going to make people think perhaps what? She sent it, she didn't send it. Excuse me. Why would someone throw out all those things? What relevance was it to throw out the things she bought? Because the SUV truck, however you want to call it, van, whatever, the van was left behind at that scene up the hill from the ravine. So you have to ask yourself the obvious question. Why would someone throw out the items she purchased? Because wouldn't the items be in her car? Or is it, oh, damn, Angela. Wow. Light bulb moment. The person you were buying met you at the car. Bingo card. Shut your mouth. Lord have mercy. Somebody, I need a drink of water. Stay woke. Is it perhaps the culprit met her at that place? Forest area. I'll meet you over here to hand you this, but then that's weird. Because then we have to ask ourselves, if we're to go with this theory, she met somebody over there where the van was parked. Why did they throw it out with the victim like trash down in the ravine? Is it because the meetup was a ruse? We also got mentioned that the daughter made commentary about the cleaning items, needing these items or whatever it is the mother bought, or she shops at a Family Dollar. I really wasn't understanding that context too well, but I'm taking it as she and her mother talked and she's supposed to be bringing some things back with her. Well, Debbie didn't bring anything back because she left the earth entirely. And I want to say this before I check out of here, before I finish this live. Always remember that a suspect will implicate him or herself unknowingly. So when the daughter mentions the Family Dollar, the mother buying supplies The police are taking note of all that because what they're going to say to themselves is this, what I just said. Well, let's just say those supplies were meant for you, Amanda. Why are they thrown out with the victim? What's the relevance? Because these things should be inside a Family Dollar bag or possibly the red tote. I don't know. And my thing is, what was the purpose of the tote? I'm going to still ask that question. Because it seems like she was maybe going to meet somebody. She needed something to carry something in. That's what a tote is for, last I checked. So who were the items for? Did she know somebody up there, Northeast Georgia? Was she going to meet somebody up there? Who were those items for? Did somebody call her en route to get the items while she was on the highway going up there? So she made a pit stop. Or was she buying the items for somebody that lived in Northeast Georgia and it was a ruse to get her up there? For what reason? Because you have to stick to what has been revealed. We don't know yet which device was used for the Venmo. So if it's a random person wanting to rob her, then I think they would have told us by now. Debit card stolen, credit card stolen, checkbook stolen, jewelry stolen. Stay woke. Carjacking, stole the car. The car's left as if she went there to meet somebody and or met him somewhere else. And that's the place they took the victim. But the gist of the story is no matter how you weigh who did it, where they killed the lady originally, if she was killed there at the ravine, how did you get from the damn forest yourself? Bingo card. That's why they're telling you it ain't random. Because you use deduction from the scene of the crime. And the scene is in the middle of nowhere. So you've got to be able to get from point A to point B. So that leaves our killers stranded in the middle of nowhere for one, what reason to kill the person? So did you ride in the car with the person to this place or somewhere else? You beat up the person, shot him somewhere else, and drove there. Okay, cool. But how are you going to get from that place back to wherever the hell you're supposed to be going? Which is, I'm assuming, your home. Stay woke. Once again, police have the phone, was on the crime scene. Like I said, on her persons, on the ground, what? Was the phone turned on or turned off? Waiting on report for manner of death. Records data, waiting on all of that as well. Don't want to give too much information, as not to reveal anything to jeopardize this case to the suspect or suspects. Searching all cells, devices to get a better timeline of what she was doing the 9th and the 10th, Miss Debbie. So they have reached out to cell phone companies. So naturally, that's anybody that's been dealing with Miss Debbie, children, husband, whomever. Who did Debbie talk to that day? Husband, daughter, boyfriend, son, neighbor, friend, whoever lived up in that area. That was also mentioned in this commentary. Has anybody been verified staying up there that knows Miss Debbie, knows the daughter? They are still doing all of that research as I speak. No one has been ruled out. They have been getting leads, and they ask you to please call if you know of anything. No bad leads, because they don't know where one thing can lead to another. Okay. September 10th is our most important date, because that's the date that Debbie left her home traveling north for some reason. And see, that's what's going to be the gist of this story, is the reasoning for that location where she was found. shopping and discarded. Why was she traveling in that direction? What was up there? Whom was up there? Who did she talk to before leaving to go up there? Who did she talk to while she was up there? What was she doing in the 10 minutes in that car? How long did she talk to her daughter? What was their conversation? That has been verified in this commentary. She talked to her daughter via the phone. What were they talking about? What was the time of the call? Inbound, outbound. Did the daughter call to ask the mother to buy her some cleaning stuff? Is that what we found thrown out with the victim, are things that the daughter asked the mother to pick up? And let's just say for the record, if the daughter is the culprit, she threw those things out because she had no need to bring them back. Because why would I bring back the things that my mother bought? They come search my house, those things would be in my house. Bingo card. Can't take them with me. Can't give any information pertaining to search warrants. Who and what, where, why they're searching. Because they don't want the facts to get out. They want to make sure that before they really put out any factual information, they want to make sure everything's verified first. Footage of her in the parking lot, they have reviewed. Other areas had cameras. So naturally, they're talking to all those entities that had surveillance cameras near the Family Dollar store. She's headed southbound at 319 coming out of that parking lot. Georgia Highway 15. And as most of you know, the dump site is about, I think, 14 minutes from the Family Dollar. So what went on from leaving out at 319, 320 till her disposal site? Who did she talk to? Who did she meet? See, what's pivotal in this story is the obvious. What was she doing up there? Who were those items she was buying? Who was she talking to when she sat in the car for 10 minutes? What was going on in that car? Did somebody meet her up there at the dollar store? Bingo card. Did somebody meet her? Did somebody follow her? Did she leave there to go meet somebody somewhere? Did she go meet somebody to take those items to? We don't know. All that's under investigation. Please reach out to the police department. If you crossed her path in Georgia, September 10th, was she followed all the way up there to the dollar store? Was she followed from the dollar store? We know people won't just follow you in traffic. So what happened to Debbie Collier? Once again, not random, not suicide. So they don't leave too much of a window of who the suspects are, because that means law officials saw whatever they needed to see when they found the body in the ravine. Let's go there. Head trauma, face trauma, besides her body being burned. And they're leaving it as a homicide because of the burns, meaning we know she didn't burn herself. Something is there at the crime, plural, that leads investigators to say somebody took her down here or made her walk down here, drug her down here. She didn't do it to herself. What is it? What did they see on the victim to say she was murdered? Did she get beat up? Head trauma, shot? What? Grasping of the tree, that was asked about. What's the significance of the grasping of the tree? Perhaps she was trying to get up, was breathing at one point. Maybe they were talking to her, saying things to her. She was trying to get up. Yes, and also strangled, yes. But was she trying to get up? Who's to say she hadn't been beaten, battered, and pushed down to the ravine, rolled down, however you want to word it. They thought maybe she was dead. She was trying to get up, and then she died. And that's why she was holding on to the branch. I don't know. Or was the one standing over her doing something to her, torturing her? Because we don't know, because we don't know the manner of death yet. And I'm sure once we get the manner of death, as they said in this commentary, they will be able to tie in why her hand was grasping the tree. How did she get from wherever to the dump site? Where was she when she was confronted by her killer and or killers? Because we have proof of her leaving the dollar store, 319. So where did she go after there? And once again, we can't say she was carjacked, somebody jumped into the car, because that would defeat the purpose of parking the car in the middle of nowhere. Gonna carjack you what, just to ride around? And if I'm going to assault you alongside of a carjacking, I'm gonna go where? Park the car in the middle of nowhere. I got to be able to get out of there. What I'm gonna do, call an Uber? After I've assaulted you, beat you up, shot you, whatever, push you down a ravine, throw out all your stuff, and then come back up and do what? Call an Uber and not take the car? See, this is why, as they said, it's not random. Because they do carjackings down there in that area. That car would be God knows where by now. Stripped, set on fire, whatever. It wouldn't be out there. It wouldn't be out there. They also mentioned that the initial search of the vehicle was tagged on the report as possibly drug related until they got further information and realized it was not drug related. But I just thought I'd throw that out there. Last seen alive at 3:19 p.m., leaving the parking lot of the Family Dollar. They're not going to change the fact that it is homicide in their eyes. As I said, what have they seen on the victim to say it is murder besides the charred body? Once again, was she shot, beat, or strangled? One person or two? One person and a bystander? What are we talking about? They're working with cell service providers to get all data from everyone involved in this storyline that knows the victim. Who are they looking at as possible suspects? Daughter, boyfriend, son? Let's not leave the son out, even though he's in Maryland, allegedly. We got that information too. The daughter came down on the 8th. She was living in Maryland. This officer doesn't have much information on her whereabouts, where she lived in Maryland. So which is it? She lived in the same apartment complex alone, or with the boyfriend, or she lived with the brother? What was the reasoning for moving here? And don't you find it awfully strange, ironic? You would leave the eastern seaboard to come down here to the dirty South, and your mother goes missing 2 days later. I want you to think about that. Now, some will look at this in the book of life and say, could be happenstance. Oh my goodness, that's just terrible. What are the odds of someone going to move out of town where their parent lives and their parent goes missing 2 days later? Very, very strange. Trauma to the body, bruising, besides the burns. What will her fingernails tell us? Did she fight back? Was she able to fight back? Once again, this crime has been treated as a homicide. They have let us know this is not random. And what the evidence has shown thus far, and the info that they have pertaining to the victim, it's not random. So once again, I ask, what did they see at the crime scene to verify this is not a random crime? So what are you saying? Because when you say random and it ain't random, it leads one to assert she knew her killer. So let's go ahead and ask that question during this live stream. Did Debbie Collier know her killer? It has to be yes, because you said it wasn't random, and random means usually a stranger. So who is the suspect? And what is the motive? And why didn't they kill her near the house? Bingo card. Did she know somebody in the general area of this Highway 15, Miss Debbie? Or did her daughter know somebody? Did the son know somebody? Did the husband know somebody? Was she coming up here for a business meeting or leisure activity, or somebody needed money, needed company, needed what? Was she having an affair? Bingo card. What's the truth? And how does all that tie in to the Venmo account? Because now we have to use deduction. If they haven't verified who sent the money and from what phone, then all bets are off, because it could come from anywhere. Anywhere. Any device. Computer, laptop, iPad, you get the point. Law officials let it be known that this is a deliberate and personal. Why is that? Because obviously they saw the victim, her state of being, and they knew. See, I knew for sure the other day when it showed the jersey burned, the tarp burned. Because like I said, if this is carjacking, I ain't getting ready to waste my time lugging all that stuff out no damn car to throw all that stuff down no damn ravine. You saw how far down she was. It's too much work. And when you're doing something evil as murder, you're trying to hurry up. So you ain't got this kind of time to be going through the damn car and lugging stuff uphill, downhill, and throwing stuff out. Hell yes, personal. That's why you knew it wasn't a carjacking. Because the stuff that was bought at the Family Dollar is now laying beside the victim. Why? What was so important? You had to take all that stuff out of the car and discard it with the victim, but leave the car. That's why you know it wasn't a doubt that it was a stranger. I agree with the police on that. Because maybe you touched those items and your DNA is on the tote, on the tarp, the paper towels, the plastic. You can't take that stuff with you. Who did she buy those items for? The daughter or another stranger or somebody she knows? When did she get the call to buy the items? Before she left? En route? What? As I said, if these items were for the daughter and the daughter is involved in the murder of her own mother, she, one, is not going to take those items back with her. Common sense. And the fact that she made mention of it in the initial interview tells you a lot. Tells you a lot. Because what you have to ask yourself is who mentioned that she was at the dollar store? Bingo card. Stay woke, everybody. Did they tell her initially? Because it seems like to me the first thing you're going to say is, we found the car. We found the body. I think the Family Dollar part will be last. But the daughter mentions it in the interview. Oh, she's supposed to be bringing me some stuff back to clean the apartment. Well, why would you be needing to clean an apartment? Because I always thought when you moved into a new place, it's already been cleaned. They've painted, cleaned the toilet, the bathtub. Of course, some people are finicky. They still want a spot clean. So what are we talking about here? And where is this apartment located that she needed cleaning supplies? Everybody, please stay woke to the information, because I think somebody gave themselves away when they mentioned the dollar store and the supplies. I'm just saying. I could be wrong. The purse is in evidence. The black bag that she was wearing across her body. Was everything in the purse? Did the suspects take anything out of that handbag? If so, what? Will we find out that other things are missing from her wallet, such as debit cards, credit cards, cash? Did Debbie have cash on her? Bingo card. Nobody's asked that. How much money did she have on her? All these people asking 50,000 questions during this press conference, and not one of you asked pertinent questions such as, how many cards did Debbie own? Accounts. Have any of them been compromised since last weekend? Was her jewelry stolen? Did she wear jewelry, her wedding ring? Come on, you guys. You always ask those questions. And I'm surprised. I heard no one ask anything about Debbie's personal effects. Did she wear a necklace, favorite earrings, diamond studs, ankle bracelet, ring, bracelet? Why not? Why not? Why didn't you all ask that? Was anything taken off the victim? Are any of her credit cards missing? You had to talk to the husband. Hey, sir, come on down to the precinct. We need you to look at her wallet. Are there any cards in here missing to your knowledge? Lord have mercy. They did mention something about a purse. A reporter asked something about a purse being at the house, that they got information that the daughter mentioned that. The cop lets it be known he doesn't know anything about another alternate purse at a house left behind. All they know is that the purse that the victim had on her at the Family Dollar in the footage is the same purse left at the scene of the crime. So now you have to go and ask that question. Why would the daughter be talking about a purse left at the house if indeed she did say that? And why is she telling people that the mother left out with just a debit card and something else, license? That's not true, because she's on camera with a black crossover bag. So why would you tell people that, Miss Amanda? Just curious. Just curious. A lot of questions. Once again, the cop let it be known he was glad that the reporter asked about the area, if any of the people, the victim and the daughter, knew anybody in the area. Anybody that came in contact with her, we don't know yet. School district picking her up, that was asked by a reporter. So they do have her on camera on a highway. You get the back side of the van, license plates number. So there was a camera working that caught her. And he was also asked, did she ever come back southbound? And so far, he says no, not that we know of, but you're talking about at least 150,000 to 160,000 cars traveling every day on the highway. It's a lot of work to go through the surveillance cameras. So let's see what happens. But I think we already know the answer to that. It's going to be no. Did somebody pick her up? Once again. And let me say that footage of her in that van was at 2:17 p.m. Saturday. So that means she was going up the highway, I would assume, to her alleged destination, which is where? Because we don't really know why she was even traveling up there, who she was going to see, why she's buying those items. Did she intend to buy those items on her way? Or did somebody call her to say, hey, are you near a Family Dollar? Can you stop and get me this? What's the truth? It was asked about the timeline leaving the parking lot, 5 p.m. And they can't verify if the van was parked at that designated spot at 5 p.m. But they do know the van was there the next day on the 11th, which was Sunday, after 12 noon. Right now, they're trying to decide which device sent the Venmo. Which device is it? The fact that the daughter took 3 hours, almost 3 hours to call and report the mother missing, why? You seem so concerned about your mother. So as law officials said, they're waiting on the police, all their checking of data to decide where the daughter, the father were at the time of calling the 911 call to the dispatch pertaining to Debbie Collier. Who was where? Did the daughter leave Athens, Georgia on September 10th? And if so, where was she headed? Where was she going? And who was with her? Did she stay in the Athens, Georgia area all day, September 10th? And we have verification that the father went to work and got off at 4:06 or so he wouldn't have had time to go up to that area if indeed some of you are thinking he's involved, because the time wouldn't allot him to be involved, because where she was found is an hour and a half away from Athens, Georgia. So he'd have to be Johnny on the spot on the highway, driving at a fast rate to get up there and get back to be with the daughter after 6 o'clock to report the mom missing, if indeed that information is the truth. One reporter asked about no obvious trauma because of that drug-related comment of the car being put in the report as maybe drug-related. And he told him he can't say. It's early preliminary, but they do know it's not drug-related, why the car was parked there. And naturally, he can't tell you anything because they don't want the suspects to know anything yet. So that's why they're not going to tell you, yeah, we know that she was beat up, head fractured, face fractured, jaw fractured, strangled. They're not going to tell you that. Even if it looks like that, they're not going to tell us that. It was asked about what information came in to lead people to know that she was at the Family Dollar. And once again, the daughter had been talking to law officials back in the Athens area about cleaning supplies that she needed for an apartment and that the mother was going to bring back. And just so happened, the mother did purchase items at that Family Dollar, but were they actually what you would call cleaning supplies? Because I didn't hear of any mention of Clorox, bleach, Fabuloso thrown out at the crime scene. What I found was stuff related to her death. Come on with it, Queen. The tarp. I would need a tarp to wrap your body. The lighter. If it's a pilot lighter, I need that to set you on fire so nobody can find you. Bingo card. Stay woke, everybody. Paper towels. I may need to do some wiping up after the fact. Is anybody out there listening to what I'm saying? What are all the items she put on that counter? Because it said that most of them were thrown out with the victim. Because that's going to play a pivotal role in this investigation as well. The items that Debbie Collier bought, and were all of them thrown out with the victim. And why? Because if it ain't random, that leaves it personal, and you knew to throw them out because you knew you touched the items. And why would you be touching the items? Because you needed them. Possibly you needed them to aid in the murder of Debbie Collier. Stay woke, everybody. A lot of information. I'm almost narrowing it down. something off with this story. And her sitting in the car for 10 minutes is probably the wrench that's thrown in that the cop was mentioning. They weren't expecting to hear about the 10 minutes of her sitting in the car. And the Venmo plays a big role as well. And not knowing which device the Venmo account was sent from. So now they got to do all this tracking of who sent the money to the daughter. Where is the money? What's the money spent? That was asked as well. And so far, all they can say is she received the money, but they can't verify if she still has all the money. But the money was sent to her from an account pertaining to the mother. But let's go there. Did Debbie actually send the money while she was in that car, the 10 minutes? Because that's messing with the timeline. 3:17, somebody sent in a Venmo. If we're to believe it's Debbie in that car, but then she's leaving out of the parking lot 2 minutes later. What was the need for sending the money if indeed Debbie did send it? Why are you calling your mother to ask for a lump sum of money when you're already down here living? Bingo card. Sounds like something I'd ask if I was living somewhere else. Or I'm trying to get somewhere else. Uh-oh. They weren't ready for that, Queen. Ooh, the plot thickens. You see, as I talk to you all, and I bring you my assertion of a situation, my mind is still in rotation while I'm talking. And as I speak to you, other things flood my mind, such as what I just said. And what is the real reason for the $2,300, almost $2,400? If indeed we're to believe that Debbie even sent the damn money. What was the need? And how do you know, let's say if it wasn't Debbie that sent the money, how do you know to ask for $2,385? It's an odd number. Almost like you knew what was in her account with the husband. Very interesting. What is this confusion about who was in the store, daughter versus mother? Why would somebody think the daughter was up there? That's strange. But he clarified, they brought photos in and the worker verified that it was the mother. But I'm trying to understand, where is that confusion coming from? I don't know if it's he said, she said, gossip, what? She gets to the store at 2:54, leaves out at 3:10. Sits in the car for 10 minutes and leaves the parking lot about 2:20, 2:19, 2:20. What was she doing in the car for those 10 minutes or so? Because during those 10 minutes, allegedly money went to a Venmo account to the daughter. So this is where it's pivotal. What was she doing for the 10 minutes in the car? Did she send the money to the daughter from that point, from a vehicle, from her phone, or somebody else hacking an account or had access to an account to send the daughter the money? Could it be the stepfather sent her the money, the daughter? What are we talking about? When was the last time the daughter saw her mother? Friday? Saturday? What day was it? The father works for this Optimist Club, stepdaddy. He clocked in 9 to 4:06 p.m. And as I said, where the mother was found is an hour and a half away. If we were to believe the father was involved, it would take him at least an hour and a half or less to get up the highway, do what he had to do, and come back and be sitting in the house filing a report with the daughter. But we do know that people can drive fast, and if you're hauling ass at about 80 miles an hour straight, you possibly could make it up there less than the hour and a half. Do what you got to do. Come on back. and play possum. Is that what we're talking about? Is that what we're talking about on either party? Somebody did go up there, follow her up there, met her up there, killed her, threw her down a ravine, and came back in their own car. And then played the concerning relative and made a call to the dispatch at 6:01 p.m. When the daughter last talked to the mom on the phone, what did they talk about? How long were they on the phone? What was the conversation about? Did they get along? Were they happy? What was the topic of the conversation? Did they leave on good terms in the conversation? Did she meet somebody up there? Was that the plan when she went on the highway, Miss Debbie Collier? She went to meet a friend, a lover, old mate, old high school mate, old friend, old acquaintance, new acquaintance, met somebody on the date site. What are we talking about? But how would that play into the Venmo account? They're viewing records as I speak. And once again, the grasping of the tree. What does it mean? Was she fighting for her life, trying to pull herself up, but died in that position? Sounds like she died in that position, perhaps, holding on to the tree. Very interesting. This is believed to be forest land, not private property. All items were at the crime scene, allegedly that she bought at the store. But as I said, why would the killer throw those items out down a ravine with this woman? Strange that the killer would not leave them in the car. Strange that the daughter just moved back a day before from Maryland. Why did she move back here to this southern part of the region? How long has she been planning to move back? How did she get an apartment? Was she working when she left Maryland? Did she get a new job here? She has a new job. What is her new job? Did she spend the money for a new apartment? Or did her parents pull up the money for a new apartment? Where is the new apartment? Will she be living in an apartment by herself or with a boyfriend? The fact that they're now saying they barricaded doors means they live somewhere, front and back doors. Do these two have viable income coming in? If so, what do they do for a living in the state of Georgia? And why are you fearing for your life? Because I find that an interesting statement as well. We fear for our safeties. We're scared. We barricaded in here. Why? Your mother didn't work for the mob, did she? Is she with the cartel? I mean, I'm just confused. Why would you be afraid for your safety when your mother allegedly was not doing any illegal activity? She wasn't hanging with the mob. She wasn't hanging with any Bloods, Crips, G's, Vice Lords. Y'all see where I'm going with this? Why would you fear? Make it make sense. Why would you fear for your safety? Just asking. And yes, why would a kidnapper let you use the phone? The kidnapper would only let you use the phone is if he in cahoots to whoever the hell he wants you to call. Bingo card. I don't think I need to say anything else. Because what threw me off about this storyline today was the 10 minutes, which made me think, hey, maybe the daughter isn't involved. But as someone in the comment section just typed in, the killer ain't gonna just be letting you call folks unless he's got a vested interest in the other person on the other side of the phone. Are you listening to what I'm saying? I'll let you use the phone, but it's got to be beneficial to me. Stay woke. It can only be beneficial to I, meaning I got to be getting something out of this phone call to whomever. So we will have to wait and see the device that the phone call came from, the text message rather, with the Venmo money. Did Debbie Collier send the money to the daughter while sitting in that parking lot at the Family Dollar, or was the account hacked from another device? And who would be the person to hack it and why? And how would they get the passcode to hack it? Somebody asked about why the GBI wasn't called in. And officials, sheriff let it be known they had it under control. They are fully staffed, but if they need to reach out to any other agencies, they will, and they have been helpful. But they're fully stocked in the police department, so they didn't need to contact GBI to help. Very interesting question. That note written, very cryptic. What does it mean? And then all that mess about the flower pot. Ask many people who have been speaking. Sounds like a ruse. Sounds like somebody personal. Why did she get that message with the money? The cop let it be known that this case is very complex. And yes, they've been working on it for 19 days so far. But they're working diligently to solve this crime and get a resolution to who killed Debbie Collier. It will take about 6 weeks for an autopsy, but they've asked that they make it a priority to get on this autopsy. So we will wait to see what the medical examiner has to bring back as far as information to the manner of death. And once again, GBI was not involved because they have everything under control with the Habersham County Sheriff's Department. But other resources may be reached out to who have expertise in other areas that Habersham does not have. But know that this is a total team effort. No such thing as bad information. So if you have any information pertaining to the disappearance and the death of Debbie Collier, please call your local authorities in your jurisdiction or the Habersham Sheriff's Department. And I do believe there was a mentioning of someone being out, and someone in the chat said they believe that was the sheriff that the cop mentioned was out of town. I want to make sure I touched on everything before I check out of here. Woo, wow. I don't know what to assess from this because the 10 minutes is what's throwing me off now that that's been mentioned. So one could say, well, she was in her car and during that 10 minutes, she was sending the money to the daughter. But what's odd is 3:17, the cryptic message and Venmo account is being sent. 2 minutes later, if we're to believe the woman did this, she takes off to go where? To end up dead. Who remains on my suspect list? It's one of those family members that did it. I think we all know this. What's the significance of throwing out the items? Only somebody personal would do that. And the reason why I say that is for the obvious reason. Her car wasn't carjacked. Stay woke now. You see, if a person carjacks you and they plan on hiding that car out and keeping it for a while, they don't have any use for the stuff that's in your car. Okay? But the fact that the car never left the scene of the crime tells you it wasn't a carjacking. Yes, I'm including everybody that's close to the victim. Whoever's close to the victim is on my suspect list. Once again, as I said, Random person carjacking the victim. They want to keep the car for a while, ride around the town. Yeah, they'll probably throw some of the stuff out. Perhaps, I don't know, it depends on the person because everybody thinks differently. But the only reason why you would throw things out with the victim is because you touched those items, because you used those items in the killing of Debbie Collier. That's what I'm thinking at the moment. That is why those things were thrown out with the victim. Law officials told you that most of the things bought was thrown out with her. So you have to ask yourself that because it's pertinent to the story, I guess. Why would you throw them out? Because you didn't take the car. You see where I'm going? If I'm stealing your car, robbing you, and I'm using your car as my way to get around, I'm just going to kill you, drop you off, jump in the car, and go on about my business. Possibly. They all three could be working together. Because you see, you don't know people and you don't know what's on people's minds. You don't know. And that will be interesting to find out. Hey, the daddy likes the daughter. Shut up, Queen. That it never occurred to any of you? That something was going on with the stepdad and the daughter. And I don't mean to bring forth accusations that are not true, but this is what I do. I talk about true crime and I chop up the information that's been given. I'm going to speculate because I'm a commentary channel. That's what I do. I give commentary. Doesn't mean it's accurate. It's just assumptions. And I think I can say that now. It's 3 weeks in and say what I want to say. Who's to say that the daddy wasn't sleeping with the girl, attracted to the girl? They've been talking, been conspiring against the mother. Because now we got to ask ourselves, what is really the deal between the girl and the boyfriend? Because these two are a mixed match. They have problems with each other, domestic violence. Both have been abusing each other, arrests. Maybe the girl's been flirting with the daddy. She brings the boyfriend along because maybe she still wants to hold on to the boyfriend, but use the stepfather. I don't know. And what role does the brother play? Did he come down immediately when he found out his mother was dead, missing, fly down? How did he get here? Did he drive or did he fly? How deep does this rabbit hole go? Anything going on with one of the neighbors? Hanky-panky, I don't know. Other meddling relatives or facetious relatives, I don't know. So you have to ask all those questions. Who all lived in the house with the mother and the stepfather? What was the relationship with the mother and the stepfather? Why were they sleeping in separate rooms, snoring? That's what they got machines for that. Lose a couple of pounds, you probably won't snore. Just saying. I'm being a little nasty, but you get my drift. How long were they not sleeping together? Did they have marital problems? Was somebody trying to leave somebody? Was somebody trying to get out of the way? Was somebody trying to knock somebody off and it kind of worked? Did he pay the daughter, brother, or boyfriend to get rid of the mother? See, you don't know because you don't know the dynamics of these people. You don't know what they talked about. You just have no damn idea. Then it could just be happenstance. The mother was out. The daughter called. She promised the girl some money. She sent her some money. And this woman was going to meet some stranger up the highway that she really didn't know well. And they took advantage of her, threw her out, and hitchhiked out of there. Which is it? And that would be the most interesting part of this investigation. If we find out the father is not involved, the daughter's not involved, the boyfriend is not involved, no entity near that Athens home was involved, that perhaps Miss Debbie had been doing some sly stuff, dating somebody on a date site, went to meet them, just so happened the daughter said, hey, mom, can you bring me some stuff back? She did. Well, that was her intention, excuse me. And the mother went on to meet this mystery person. One thing led to another. They argued. Somebody said something out of the way. It was a ruse to take advantage of her sexually. Because could it be, let's go here. She went up to North Georgia to meet a man or a woman, let's say. They intended to rob her or sexually assault her. They used the stuff from the van to kill her or clean up or however you want to word it. Threw everything out, shut the doors, locked the doors, unlocked the doors. I don't know, because I don't even know if the doors are locked or unlocked. That wasn't mentioned. And then they drove off in their own car. Who's to say she didn't pick that spot deliberately to meet a stranger? Maybe she was having an affair. They finally met up. Maybe that was their meeting place. I don't know. Because at first, before we get the 10-minute rule, it looked like it could be the daughter. But that's what's thrown me off. It's the 10-minute of her sitting in the car. So my thing is, how does a person go missing right after sending money? But as the detective said, which is something pertinent I need to say before I leave, we don't have verification that she died right away after 3:20. Bingo card. Now the plot thickens more. What time was she murdered? I say the best for last. Because what if we are wrong about the assumption she died shortly after leaving the Family Dollar? Because the cops have not verified time of death. He just knows she was found after 12 the next day on the 11th. But who's to say homegirl went about her way on that Saturday, sent that money sitting in that parking lot to her daughter, went and met whoever, party, saw a friend, bar, party, tailgate, and something jumped off with somebody where she met later in that day or evening or wee hour morning. So we don't know, because that's a long window from 3:20 p.m. to 12 the next day. And I think that's something most of us have not focused on, that possibly Debbie was murdered way later than 3:20. Are you all listening to what I'm saying to you? Nobody's able to reach her allegedly. So that's why they got to check the devices to make sure the daughter was attempting to call. Check her phone to make sure she was actually calling her mother like she said she was. Make sure the woman's phone wasn't ringing after that said time, 3:20, whatever, 4 o'clock, 5 o'clock. That's what's all going to show intent. Excuse me. If indeed well, Tracy, we can't say why she sent one thing to another because we don't know anything yet. We don't really know who sent the money. So we can't even say, sorry about that. We can't even say if this was indeed Debbie sending the money, because this could be the husband sending money. It could be somebody that hacked her account sending the money to themselves. We don't know. So we can't say who versus whom sending money. But what we do need to focus on is perhaps Debbie did not die early in the day. Perhaps she died later in the day, 5 o'clock, 7 o'clock, 9 o'clock. She met with some people, had fun, went out to dinner, eat, turned her phone off on purpose. We don't know because we don't have the data back from the daughter's phone. Everything is going to lie on the daughter's phone and the husband's phone. Who they talked to, who they called, where they were at the time of the Venmo account money being sent to her account, because that's going to show a timeline. Yes, she received the money at this time. This is the phone that sent the money. That's the bingo card. The actual device that sent the money and the time of day it was sent. And who had access to that device. But it could be a clincher to find out Debbie Collier went on her way, turned her phone off deliberately to do her thing, and got herself caught up in some type of mess with somebody else that she thought was a friend or acquaintance. Could that be it? And it's just happenstance she sent the daughter money, or the daughter found a way to hack the account. I don't know. Like I said, I'm thrown off now with this 10-minute business. That's what's throwing me off. Is sitting in the car. What was she doing? Was she the actual person sending the money? Where did she go when she put out of the Family Dollar? Did she go meet somebody? Did somebody deliberately follow her that she thought was a friend or not a friend? But the thing about it, we have to go back to what law officials said. This was not random. So that leads me to believe she knew or knew of her killer. And that's the gist of the story. I want to thank you for joining me. God bless all of you. Happy Friday to all of you. Please be safe. Have fun out there going to the football games. Go Vols. Yes. If you see something, say something. Be a part of the solution and not the problem. Please mind the children. Please be aware of your surroundings when you are out, morning, noon, and night. Don't be afraid to speak up. If you'd like to donate to this great network, Everyday Shenanigans, $BeganG, 129 Cash App. Thank you all for the super chat stickers. Following the content, like, share, subscribe, drop your comments below. Please take the polls on my community page pertaining to Jeffrey Dahmer, Miss Eliza Fletcher. I do believe I have one up there about her, if I'm not mistaken. If not, I do have some other polls up pertaining to the stories that I've brought to you. They're either yes and no or yes, no, and not sure. Please take those polls so we can get a general idea of how you feel about true crime. And I've also put up one about children facing the death penalty for crimes committed underage. Do you think they should get a fair shake, do so many years, or get life in prison and or the death penalty, depending on the severity of the crime, the murder? Thank you all so much for your time. I really appreciate it. God bless all of you. Thank you for participating and commenting during this live stream. I will go back and read the comments and we will see what happens. But I think at this point, because it's so weird, this case, not knowing who did what, who's on first, it is probably best to wait on some evidence to verify the devices, because that's where the clues are going to lead us. Are the devices. So who called who, when? And if whatever was told to investigators initially, the people were telling the truth, and that's the daughter, that's the husband, and any other neighbor or close person to Debbie Collier, I really feel bad for this lady who is no longer alive, because she shouldn't have had to go out like that. I do not know how she was killed, but it doesn't matter. She was murdered. And I think that's also going to be devastating when we find out how she was killed, because we don't know yet. But that's no way to die down a ravine, an hour and a half away from your home. And perhaps it could be she went and met somebody she thought she liked or knew her. She was getting to know that person, or could be somebody she went to school with or work, or we're not going to know till we get all the information back from the labs. Thank you all so much for joining me. Have a safe weekend. This is Everyday Shenanigans. God bless all of you. Thank you.